Welcome to Unbox the podcast. I'm Sahar Palmer, your host, and this season we're exploring the courage to be you, to show up and stay true, which is what we're all doing here in Dubai, and that's all I'm gonna say. Today, we're not just talking about money, we're talking about coherence, staying in alignment and staying true to yourself. Because leadership isn't defined by income alone. It is defined by your ability to stay internally coherent while navigating external changes. We live in a culture that reduces success to visible metrics: revenue, scale, public recognition. All those metrics matter. They are real, but they are incomplete. The deeper measure is coherence. Coherence means your decisions align with your values. Your ambition aligns with your capacity. Your growth aligns with your integrity. And you remain open minded, flexible, and aware of the shifts both inside you and around you. This is where serious leaders distinguish themselves. Let's explore this through BIMA methodology so we can examine it clearly. The BIMA exploration. The first dimension is your body. When someone reduces your success to money, what happens physically? Notice, where do you tense? Do you feel the urge to prove yourself, or do you remain steady? A coherent leader notices that internal shift immediately. They don't ignore it, they observe it. Because the body often signals when you are being pulled away from your own standard. The next dimension is emotions. There may be frustration or hurt when your work is flattened to a number. But coherence means you don't let that emotion dictate your direction. You acknowledge it, and then you return to clarity. The third dimension is the mind. This is where leadership maturity becomes visible. You stay open to internal shifts. Perhaps your ambitions have changed. Perhaps your priorities have evolved, or the market has shifted. Coherence requires you to update your strategy without abandoning your values. It also requires you to recognize external shifts. Trends move, industries change, economies fluctuate, but a coherent leader adapts intelligently without chasing every wave, trend, or losing sight of the big picture. And we come to the final dimension, which is accountability. This is the decisive layer. You define your metric consciously. You review it regularly, and you ask yourself, am I building something aligned with who I am now? Or am I performing an outdated version of success? I have worked with professionals who realized that their previous definition of success no longer fit their current stage of life because they evolved. Coherence means you stay open enough to notice that shift, but you keep your eyes on your destination. You don't cling to old ambition out of pride. You do not chase new ambitions out of insecurity. You assess, you adjust, you align. You do what I call zoom in, zoom out. You zoom in internally. You check if your BIMA is aligned and if you're steady. Then you zoom out to see the bigger picture of what and why you're building and how it sits within the landscape of your field or your life. This tells you whether you need recalibration, a new direction, or further development perhaps deeper knowledge, maybe updating your skills to keep up with the pace of change. And then the deeper question becomes relevant. Will you leave the world better than you found it? That question forces us to think about coherence. Recently, a friend said that some influencers are shallow. Another replied, yes, but they're financially independent. They have 2 million followers. That response stayed with me, not because of the influencers, but because of the assumption behind it. Numbers became the proof, income became the argument. But what about the value of the content? Because if your only metric is income, you may ignore the internal signals that tell you something is misaligned. And usually it means taking the joy out of what you do. But if your metric includes legacy, integrity, and impact, you will pay attention to those signals. So, yes, financial independence matters, but it must sit within a coherent structure, not replace it. If money becomes your identity, you become fragile to market shifts. If coherence becomes your foundation, you remain steady, even when the numbers fluctuate. Leadership, self-leadership, is not about display. It is about navigation. And navigation requires awareness, self-awareness, of internal state as well as external environment. When you remain coherent, you make decisions from stability. You scale when it is aligned. You slow down when it's necessary. You adapt without losing yourself. That is success beyond numbers. This episode was about expanding your metric of success to include coherence. It is about staying open to internal evolution and external change. And it is about leading from alignment rather than comparison, pride, or ego. If you recognize that your definition of success needs recalibration, work with me. Book a strategic clarity session, and we will examine where you are coherent and what needs recalibration. I will leave the link in the description. If you're not ready to commit yet, why not join my free live AMA, Ask Me Anything session? It takes place on May 20th. It is a space to ask direct questions about my mentoring work, my books, or themes from Unbox the podcast, and how to apply these insights into challenges that you might be facing. I will guide the conversation, and the link is in the episode description. Before I sign off, I would like to leave you with this thought. Income can measure performance. Coherence builds self-leadership and lasting legacy. Decide which one you want to build your life around. Thank you for spending this time with me on Unbox the podcast. Follow now, and if this resonates, please share it with someone who's navigating their own definition of success. Until next Tuesday, have the courage to be you. Show up and stay true.